Welcome. You are at the CCC.
Where there are no outside issues. My name is Anthony. I'm an addict and an alcoholic, another bozo on the bus, and I care about you.
And I'm LouiLou. My pronouns are he and him. I'm in recovery for crystal meth and alcohol, and I'm always in search of recovery. Balance. I said recovery. I'm always in search of recovery, too.
Let it be known.
So each week we strive to create a brave space where we can engage in conversations around topics of recovery.
And our intention is to hold and inspire better spaces for people in recovery by tackling issues sometimes used to separate us.
Yes, but before we do that, please like, share, comment, rate this episode, and ding that bell.
Rate this episode and ding that bell. Ding, 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 ding. Buy myself time until it's done. And now the disclaimer: the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on At the CCC are as alone. We do not represent anyone but ourselves. The material and information shared here is for general information purposes only. In other words, we're just a couple of friends behind a mic here to entertain you.
Let me entertain you.
Let me entertain you. What if that's like all we were going to do for the next 45 minutes?
So, you know, in our chat, I posted like that first introductory episode of the inaugural episode of the podcast, like 3 years ago.
I think I hearted it, but I didn't listen.
Okay, well, we had a different theme music, and it was so interesting hearing it open. It's like I'm glad we chose that.
What was the theme?
It was, you got to go back and listen.
I'll have to listen to it. I hearted it because I thought I saw it, but I guess I didn't.
No, it was. We called Zero episode. Basically, it was a short episode where we were just kind of testing the waters. You know, it's interesting because I was terrified. I'm all, can we just do it next week?
Oh, because you didn't want to. Yeah, because you didn't want to. It's a huge undertaking to put yourself out into the world this way.
Absolutely.
You know, this stuff is immortalized. We can't take any of it back.
I know, exactly. And so you'll get to see exactly how we flip-flop back and forth.
What are you talking about?
No, I'm kidding. You know how when
I know.
You know how politicians are all, I did not say that, and then you play the tape and they're all.
Yeah, I've had people quote me.
Yeah.
Where they'll be like, well, you said that one time in that episode.
I'm all, okay, so there's no room for me to change.
But it was true. I mean, I was consistent.
Yeah, no, exactly. For the most part, we're consistent. But I think that
I'm consistent.
What I've gotten from this is like, you know, I come in sometimes really kind of firmly placed or with an idea about something, and then I listen enough, and then I am open to seeing it in a different light. That's a good thing. How are you doing?
I kind of zoned out.
Well, of course you did, because this one's pretty self-absorbed. You know, it's like, hello. And he was like, Anthony. I'm talking the whole time. And he's like, Anthony.
I'm like, when's my turn? I'm kidding. I'm okay. I've just, today's topic is it feels very perfect for me right now because I'm having to deal with some like
You're heavily medicated.
No, I wish. No, I've been, I'll talk more about it a little later, but like my meds were adjusted and it really impacted my mood. And I've been feeling really like white knuckling it, like, cause I'm just like, I have to kind of get through this like weird part where I feel like depressed and
it's tough. Yeah.
Oh, it's so, I hate it, but that's how I'm doing. And I feel, I love that I'm getting to see you today, and I'm happy that I am feeling a little bit better, and I've been, practicing the principles in all of my fucking affairs.
If you're listening and watching right now, I want you to notice how smooth Anthony was. He looked over and said, I got to see you. That's going to make up for all the abuse that I get later. It's like, I'm one of those. That's what those relationships are like. It's like, because I look at him thinking, oh my God, he said he was happy to see me. So,
I am happy to see you.
Whatever you do is fine.
Oh gosh.
Just kick me under the table.
What are you processing right now?
I'm not processing anything.
All right. Well,
I'm good.
I wish I was medicated.
No. It's like, I'm doing really well. It's like, although I was sharing with you all before some of the kind of challenges that are kind of taking place in between my ears. And I realize that I'm coming up on an anniversary, and usually around that time, a little squirrely. And I think that it's my active addiction saying, hey, girl, I'm going to test you. Then I don't want to suggest that I'm like Job, because that's arrogant.
Job as in like the book of Job in the Bible.
But really, it's like, this is the time for me to, if ever to be vigilant, it's right now. It's like, because it doesn't matter how long I stay sober. It's like, it's a lovely reminder, although painful, and uncomfortable. I would say uncomfortable, not painful. That I have a problem with substances and thinking and all that good stuff. So yeah.
I love that. Stephen and I were talking about something really similar earlier about how one of the things that I absolutely love is when I hear people with time like yourself talk about going through struggles, especially when those struggles feel like very pertinent to my own. And to be real, like, you know, for people listening, like those struggles, they don't have to be monumental. They could just be like, I do not want to fucking get out of bed right now. Exactly. You know what I mean? Or like, I just don't have the energy or the wherewithal to kind of attend to my daily task. And you know, the other thing that we were talking about a bit ago too, is that, you know, sometimes we are surrounded by people who are not well, and that can be very difficult to navigate too. And, you know, you one of those sayings that I hear a lot, you know, like good that we're not all sick on the same day. Well, some days we are sick on the same days.
Oh gosh. Yes.
And that's even harder, you know?
Really bad. It's really bad. I think another thing with that is the pressure that we put on ourselves because of the way we're feeling. Like in my mind, I should not be feeling this. And so that adds a new level of like uncomfortable weight on it because I'm judging myself. And this is a time like when Bonnie Violet always says, it's like, I really need to give myself grace. We maybe need to normalize that, you know, I don't want to normalize like being down on myself, but I'll normalize that I'm human and sometimes I go there. Kind of like when I talk about that EKG machine type deal where my normal is flatline, but blip, blip, blip is what gets me if I'm not careful. It can be
blip, blip, blip.
It can be too high in my head thinking that I'm everything, or too low thinking that I'm not enough. So
blip, blip, blip.
Oh yeah. And like I said, it's like this is just the beginning. This is the minor stuff. This is the minor stuff. The other stuff is psychological. It's like, it goes deeper than, and all of a sudden it's like all night tonight I'm going to be rocking and sucking my thumb.
What did he say to me? Well, let's introduce today's topic. So this month is mental health and medicine, or mental health recovery and medication and recovery. And we'll be talking about, you know, relapses in recovery related to medication or medication management in general when people are on painkillers. And then also in this month, we'll talk about different forms of medication, things like weed management or psychotropic or psych meds while in recovery. So that's today's topic. And of course, as usual, if you're listening in and anything resonates with you or you have a thought, please share it with us. We have 2 quick announcements that we'll be making for the rest of the month. First is that we'll be taking March off. As many of y'all know, we use a quarter system to do our strategizing and our planning for the episodes. And then the other thing is that starting in April, when we come back from our break in March, we're going to be moving our slot to Wednesdays at 8 p.m. So yes. I was going to try to clap, but I feel like I'm like too close. So that's yeah. So yeah, a lot of fun things.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Right around the corner. Yeah, it'd be nice to have like an evening because, you know, Louis and I, we have regular lives and jobs, so we have to generally run here.
The other thing is I feel like it's going to open the door for more folks who normally wouldn't be able to sign in on the live and participate in the chat. Because I mean, I think that fuels us too, and we actually get the comments. Like I was looking at the last show, and there was a whole conversation going on, and Stephen didn't share with us.
Oh,
but Stephen only shares what he wants to, which is, hey, you know.
He was trained by Brandon, and Brandon, that's what Brandon does.
Exactly.
Brandon restricts the chat.
They're on there. They didn't even comment on what I said, and I'm like, okay.
Well, Brandon did it because Brandon said that he did it because he wanted to. April break may start, or is it March now?
March.
Cut and Uncut with Daphne and Bonnie Violet. That's Bonnie Violet.
Hi, Bonnie Violet. So
April break may start.
It's March now. It's an April break, and then it's May start.
Wait, what?
She's trying to.
We take March off.
Confuse us.
Bonnie Violet, why are you trying to plan on air? But we would be taking next month off, January, February. We're working March. We're doing March. Oh my God!
Okay, so
right.
no, actually, we are.
Oh my God!
It's actually May that's off.
Put me to rest.
We'll be back in June.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bonnie Violet. I was like, who is that?
We have a couple. We have a few more days.
Because we have next month. Next month is redemption and recovery.
We need to be careful what we wish for because we're commenting on this, and then of course Steven.
Brandon wrote, "Good job, Steven."
Thank you, Brandon.
Thanks, Brandon.
How are you feeling?
I hope you're feeling okay, Brandon. So let's jump in, shall we?
Yes.
Well, let's clear that up, Bonnie Bell. I really appreciate that. So we will have episodes in March because that's criminal redemption and recovery. So then after March,
we're in March right now.
Oh, fucking A. April, we have criminal redemption and recovery. So April will be on, and then January, March, April. May, we're off.
And then we're back in June.
We'll be back in June. Thank you.
This was intentional because we want to talk about how your meds can affect you.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh my God.
You
Anthony,
know, I have these notes. Anka said, "Oh my God, Anthony, what did she say?" Someone orient this man to know time. Oh my God, I know. What a pretty picture.
Hi, Anka. I know, lovely picture. We celebrated Anka's 35th.
I know. I was here for that with the cake.
That was lovely.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Anka made us God boxes.
I know. It was so.
Have you been using yours?
Yeah, yes, but I was really excited. I thought that I was the only one who got it.
That's why I was clear. You know.
No, I'm kidding. I was like, that God box is lovely.
I started using it. Anyway, so. Okay, I want to talk about something.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I want to talk about. Does this sound weird if I talk like that?
Absolutely.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about is, so this episode in particular feels pertinent because, so one of the things like a lot of people in recovery suffer with is like mental illness, right? Be it PTSD, bipolar disorder, personality constellations, etc. And one of the things that I think has made it difficult for me recently has been like I was on a really good regimen and I was feeling like a normal person. And by normal, I mean like I was able to get out of bed, brush my teeth, attend to task. And then recently there was an adjustment because I have ADHD, blah, 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 blah. And it like put me back to where I was. And so over the last week or so, I've been really trudging, like really kind of like forcing myself to kind of just operate and exist. And I think the reason why I'm sharing that is one is like, I want to normalize that, like, that's an experience that people have, at least that I'm having. And that is difficult. It's not like the world stops moving just because you're not feeling well.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially I'm thinking about people too, who have, who live with, disabilities that can be really tough, etc. Have you ever been on like psych meds or anything like that, or pain meds?
When I first got sober, I had a therapist suggest to me that that I should take like an antidepressant. At first, I was thinking, no, why? I'm not depressed or whatever. But he sold me on the idea of like I was struggling with the idea of focus.
Oh.
Yeah, and so I was taking like a generic version of Celexa.
Sure.
It was citalopram.
Sure.
Citalopram is a fun name. Anyway, and
citalopram sounds like a food.
Exactly. Well, it sounds like a fool to you. I couldn't appreciate it then because like initially, like I think the concern that he had was I was already kind of hot. My energy was already pretty intense, and it was really weird. Like when I first started taking, I remember this. It's like I used to yawn all the time. It's like my energy was like weird and whatever, and I had weird reactions to things. It's like I was a lot more emotional in it, and I think like you're saying, I think that it's important for me. I understand now. It's important to know that just because I start taking something doesn't mean it's automatically going to do what it's supposed to do.
That's right.
There's a period where it has to kind of be introduced into your body and get normalized or become a norm.
Reach medicinal levels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it was, all of a sudden it's like, I used to say, I don't cry because I'm taking antidepressants, but it took me a while to realize I don't cry anyway. I'm not a crier, but it kept me even because I went through some pretty heavy stuff in early recovery, like the loss of friends, the mourning, the lifestyle and everything. And it was a gift. I can see now it was an absolute gift because I didn't. There was some stuff I couldn't deal with, or I wouldn't have been able to deal with, and this kept me even.
Steven is so bored he walked away.
I know exactly.
From, you know what? This is the. So Steven, who's like manning the ship, literally just got up and just walked out of the room.
I know.
So we're on our own right now.
Let's go crazy.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah, that was for me. That was only the only kind of pain medication I've been on is like aspirin, like Tylenol, things like that. Nothing narcotic.
Yeah, I went out my last relapse. I went out on pain meds. It was weed and pain medication. I remember I remember the first time I ever did a pain. I think it was like a Percocet or something like that. And I remember, did I ever tell you about like the last time I had a procedure done a couple years ago and they gave me propofol and fentanyl?
No, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so they gave me propofol and fentanyl, and I remember lying there and thinking to myself, oh my fucking God, this is why people do this. Because I didn't have any feelings. Yeah. Like I didn't have any hurt feelings or anxiety. It was just this very blissful, peaceful state. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, this is why people do fentanyl.
Yeah.
Like this is why, that a medication that I could put something in my body, or in this case, it was injected into my body, could take away all the pain and all the worry and stuff like that, despite how superficial it is. I just remember feeling very shook by that, especially afterward, because when I started to come down from the medication, I remember, God, I must have been so obnoxious because I was telling everyone, thank you for being so nice to me. But
thank you for being
thank you. I love it here. You guys are so nice to me. Thank you. You guys are so nice. I was just so and I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I want to feel this way all the time.
Yeah.
Alas, that's not the way life works.
No, not at all. And unfortunately, it's like the way we were handling things before. It's like, I'm not a doctor. I don't, or a pharmacist or whatever, and so I don't understand. I feel good. I want more of it, and so it's kind of like the reason why I don't bake. I'm thinking, well, if this much is good, then this much will be even better. When I, add.
That's real. You know, that's crazy you say that, because when I went out on I think it was like hydrocodone is what I did. I did more. I took a bit and it felt good, and so I took more, and I remember feeling absolutely nauseous, and I didn't know, because that was my first time ever doing something like that. I didn't know that was like a side effect of these medications, is that if you take too much, I think you get constipated is one thing, and then the other thing is that it can make you really sick.
Yeah. I think something that we haven't said, that we probably could talk about, and you can talk about more, okay, so one of the things we thought about, when thinking of recovery and medication, is sometimes you will be given these weird signals or messages that it's not acceptable, that it's not okay to do meds. And I'm not a doctor. This one's on his way, but I'm not a doctor, and I don't prescribe and whatever, so I don't get to tell somebody what works for them and what doesn't work for them. Your recovery has to look the way it looks. And lately I've been telling people, you know what, you get to a certain point and you realize, okay, we needed the structure, because we get to speak about 12-step because that's our experience or whatever. But in the beginning, I had the structure, the rigid structure of 12-step or whatever. But the longer that I stay sober, I realized that, there are folks who do recovery the way they do recovery. And as long as you have acceptance around it, I know folks who smoke pot, or who do poppers, or who do whatever, and they still think of themselves as recovered. And I don't get to say you're not recovered, because it's just not it's not my place. I mean, it's the hula hoop we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to stay in a place of peace and serenity, then I don't need to climb out of that hula hoop to tell you about yourself, because obviously that means that something's wrong inside my hula hoop.
Yeah, I feel that. I thank you for bringing that up. To me, I am baffled to this day by how brazen some people can be. How some people will just give you their opinion about what your recovery looks like, or what you're doing or what you're not doing, mm-hmm. right? That to me is very interesting. And one of the things that I love that my sponsor has often reminded me of is she'll say, is it in the big book? Like, is it in the big book and the 12 and 12? Is it in any of the literature? Because otherwise it's somebody's opinion.
Absolutely. There are a lot of those.
And there's so many opinions, and like, I think I've talked about this before too, about how, the other thing I really love that my sponsor told me years ago is she said, Anthony, someday it might just be the only thing standing between you and a drink or you and a drug is God. She said, there are going to be days where the fellowship fails you, when meetings fail you, when people fail you, and it's just going to be you and God. And I think that to me is sometimes it's me and God and, and professional help. It's my therapist or it's my psychiatrist. Is that like
Thelma and Louise, like God?
Thelma and Louise, but on Chrome.
Driving you off the cliff.
Yeah, God and my therapist. But yeah, I'm just so amazed at that. And it's kind of like similar to what we were talking about when we were talking about body image, about how people just feel very comfortable commenting on other people's bodies.
Oh, absolutely.
That to me is very wild.
Well, so I will say that early on coming in, you get into whatever form of recovery you're doing and you feeling really good. All of a sudden I'm in a different space, and I don't know that folks mean harm, especially in the beginning, but it's like I want everybody to have it. So, or actually for me, what I'll say is like, this is what I had, and if I saw something different, it challenged what I had. And when you're that new, that fresh in anything that you're doing, it doesn't take much to start to question, to start to challenge it. And I feel like any time that I may have been overzealous or is when I wasn't completely comfortable about where I was and in acceptance about, you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. My sponsor is currently, well, I think she'd be comfortable with me sharing this. So she's currently on a pain medication, but she refuses to give it to herself. So she won't hold on to her pain meds. She gave her pain meds to a sober friend, and the sober friend is the one who's managing the pain medication for her. And she's like, I don't trust myself. I only take it when I need it, etc. And one of the things I love about her is that she's very protective of her recovery. And so she'll go to great lengths, even if it sounds or looks a little crazy, and then that, to me, that's interesting because I've heard of a lot of people go out on medication. They'll get like a narcotic and, they're supposed to take it every 6 hours, but what's 2 hours earlier? And then it's, what's wrong with me taking it every 2 hours, And
I feel like the interesting thing about like going out on medication is that it can be kind of slippery, like where it may not seem like to one person it is an issue.
Yeah.
But I always feel like, I'm quite impressed by individuals who make the decision and say, you know what, I didn't have to, but I'm doing it because this is about me. I mean, because again, going back to like this recovery, this experience is about me. Did we lose that?
Yeah, it looks like we lost the video, but it shows that we're still alive. So
this is good.
It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. What the other thing I was thinking about is like just medication management in general, and how I committed the kind of like, I committed this, I don't want to use the word sin, but if a psychiatrist puts you on medication or a doctor puts you on medication, you shouldn't, the general rule is that you shouldn't just abruptly stop medication because you don't want it. And I ended up doing that. I was on one medication and I hated the way it was making me feel. So I just stopped it. And my psychiatrist had explained to me, Anthony, that's probably why you've been feeling like shit. My words, not hers.
Yeah. She said it in a nicer way. Huh?
Yeah, she said it in a much like nicer, respectful way. And I think, and that's something, and here I am, I'm like, I'm a mental health professional. I know better. And even then.
Or you believe you should know better.
Or I believe I should know better. You know what I mean? And I was like, fuck this. I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to. And so now I'm, this is the consequence of that. The consequence is like, now I'm having to kind of like what it feels like I'm having to drag myself out of this funk. That being said, though, I've been able to use recovery around it. Like I've been able to use the steps and the fellowship. One of the things that's been helpful for me before is you're wringing your hands. You can't help it. Has been like just being really, you can wring your hands, it's okay. It has been, being honest with people about where I'm at,
So remember the psychological stuff I was talking about?
So months ago, Louis was watching a video that we had recorded. By a video we were recorded, I mean like the podcast, and he was upset that he kept wringing his hands. And so he was just wringing his hands on camera, and so I was just bringing his attention to that.
I love it. It's like I'm plucking all of these things to support my thesis. No, Anthony is you're wonderful. I love you.
Thank you.
So happy that we are here. I actually when I was taking the citalopram, I actually had experiences like that where in between refills or whatever, there would be a large gap because I wasn't taking it as responsibly as I should.
That's such a
And then I would be all of a sudden I'd be feeling some sort of way and not realizing. Then I'd have an aha moment, almost like halt, oh yeah, you're feeling like this because you're playing fast and loose with this medication that should be built up in your system. Yes,
Louis. Yes. And I think that's across the board. I think that's pain medication. It's psychotropics, psych meds, etc. And I wonder how much of that, and this is just I'm just conjecture on my part, is I wonder how much of that has to do with alcohol and addiction being cunning, baffling, and powerful, right? Sometimes I wonder, is that my addict-y brain, I don't know, playing tricks on me, we were having a conversation earlier where despite all the evidence in the world to the contrary of any thought that we're having, we might still believe something that is totally off.
Oh, absolutely. But there was another part of it, the defiance that comes from whatever. At the time, I started carrying this, you have the Monday through Sunday pill boxes. And I also take blood medication for hypertension. And so every so often I would load it up and I was thinking, is this my life? Is this where it's come to? And so it's I had some resentment around the fact that I had to take these pills.
That's how I feel now.
Yeah.
I have the Sunday through Saturday pill box and I'm oh my God, am I an old man? I have to.
And it's weird. It's this is you. This is loving. This is you taking care of yourself in the best way that you can. But I'm looking at this this is offensive.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I've gotten over it because I remember, did I tell you about this? How I told my psychiatrist, I'm I think I'm fine. I think I can get off my medication. And then I got off my medication and I my life. I think I told you that, right?
Yeah, we could tell you that. No.
It was just forcing them down my throat with a cat pill popper. Yeah. Well, it is self-love. And one of a good gauge for me about where I am with my mental health is whether or not I am filling up my pill case.
Yeah.
Right. If I have the energy to fill up my pill case. The other thing is my dishes. Are my dishes washed?
It's amazing. It's I'm all, it's kind of like with recovery itself. I always say, there are all these things that I put in the way of me and my next drink or drug. It's working with a sponsor, working with sponsees, meetings, making my bed, things like that. And ideally, I'm aware, I'm practicing awareness. So I include that in my regular gratitude list now, awareness. If I'm not doing these things, I'm in danger. It doesn't mean that I'm going to relapse. It just means that, I'm looking forward to a world of discomfort. Because, that's the thing that I'm most fearful of these days. It's I don't want to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I think, gosh, that really resonates with me because I feel just currently, I feel very uncomfortable, and I've been noticing myself. I was telling Steven that I haven't smoked since I was in my 20s and I've been wanting a cigarette. You know what I mean? I'm
just relief, escape.
100%.
Yeah,
And like
exactly.
100%, like I want to smoke a cigarette. I want to pick up vaping. And I told Benji, because Benji had just quit vaping, and he's like, he's been doing such a great job. You know, he's like on the patch, and he uses like a fake vape.
Wait,
and,
there's a patch for vaping?
well, no, it's a nicotine patch.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So he's been doing this great job, and like, I've like noticed his struggles, and like, and he goes, Anthony, don't start. Like, literally, I just stopped. Why would, you know what I mean? It would be, and it's such a, he reminds me of just how stupid of an addiction it is. You know, it's like, not to kind of downplay what it is, stupid in that, like, it's so quick and it's so expensive and it's so hard, you know, to quit. And so,
And it adds, it brings on a whole new group of issues.
Yeah. But you're right. Like 100%, like I just, if I'm being real with me, it's like right now, I just don't want to feel the way I'm feeling right now. And, you know, and if it's, you know, and I am taking, like, right now I'm the consequences of my not taking my medication the way I should have been is that, like, I'm, you know, currently having to deal with this, and that I'm still an addict and an alcoholic, and there is still a part of me that wants to check out, you know, it's like, and so, you know, so I'm doing it with money that I don't have, or like recently I've been doing it a lot with food, which has been, you know, food isn't a medication, but food can often be used to self-medicate. And that's been really humbling. Like, you know, I was talking to a friend about that earlier today, about how I'm like, I need to be real with myself. Like, I have been like last night at like 1:30 in the morning, I ordered a Slurpee and chocolate and like all this stuff.
Ooh, I forget that you can do that. Okay, so check this out. This is a sidebar, but that's one of the treats that I give myself for the movies. I love like having a nice Slurpee, and the reason why, because I'm old. I cannot drink a regular drink because then I'll be running back and forth to the bathroom. But the Slurpee is just right, and so I'm always happy to have it.
I love a Slurpee.
Yeah,
I do. We have a comment.
Ooh, we have a comment. Wakefield, hi. Thanks for the topic. I couldn't go in on Facebook, but the YouTube channels work. Lovely.
Well, thank you for letting us know, Wakefield. I think this is the first time I'm seeing your face and your name, so thank you for joining us, and thank you for letting us know.
Welcome.
And what a lovely picture. That was a really lovely picture. I just, gosh, yeah. I ordered a Slurpee, 1:30 in the morning, chocolate, chips, and I'm like, Anthony.
Wait, chocolate chips?
No, like chocolate / oh my God.
Okay.
Reese's peanut butter cups, crisp, comma,
yeah, there's
and
food deliveries, like, especially.
And
like,
the crazy part is, like, I don't have, like, it's hella expensive, so I don't have the money to be doing that.
Yeah.
And and you know what? I'm going to admit something that's kind of hard to admit, is
I'm
that,
excited.
well, because I've been acknowledging, like, my food stuff has gotten out of control. So, like, I've reached out to my doctor, and also I've had, like, disordered eating in my past. And so I reached out to my therapist. My therapist and I have been, like, watching this for a while. And so now I'm starting a program in April, where, like, I'm looking at, you know, I'm taking this class around like eating habits and stuff like that, which is crazy because I've worked with a nutritionist before. And I think I'm sharing all of that to say that, like, cunning, baffling, and powerful. You know what I mean? It's like I just read in somebody's gratitude list that they're an Overeaters Anonymous, and I had no idea this person was an Overeaters Anonymous.
Because unfortunately, the shame and all that goes.
You know, it's just like, today, like, I love that, like, I have this program, and I think the one thing I'm circling back to is that it's really fucking hard to be an addict and an alcoholic.
And like you say all the time, it's and I've been quoting you. It is really hard to be a human.
It's really hard to fucking be human. Yeah, it can be very hard to be human, and like that's where I've been at recently. And of course, it's hard to manage medications, and of course, it's like difficult to do these things because it would just be easier to check out.
Yeah, and with that being said, going back to what we were saying, it's like, you know, the noise around you of people telling you you shouldn't. First off, it's like the relationship you have with the doctor who prescribed it and this is of course, if it's a doctor that actually has a PhD and not somebody on the street. I mean, nowadays you can get things prescribed through internet, like you can become a.
You really can get stuff on the internet.
Become a minister, the minister of the Holy Church of the internet.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that, like, we talk about, like, and really maybe the focus, the reason why we're saying this is because of how 12-step sees it. But my relationship with my doctor and whatever issues I have that may be beyond the scope of what 12-step can do for me. Like, I need to pay attention to that and to block out all the noise. I mean, I need to, also, I know who's in my circle, and I know who my trusted people are. And I know because I trust myself today when they have my best interest. And that's the thing that recovery or continued recovery continues to give me. It's like, what it comes down to is not about if I trust anybody else, it's about if I trust me. Because when I'm trusting me, I'm making like wise choices, wise decisions that are beneficial to me. And if that includes medication, a nice little cocktail with my cocktail. It always blew me away, like how they refer to a bunch of medications as a cocktail.
As a cocktail, yeah.
I'm all, seriously? Come on now. I've been trying to get away from them.
Cocktails, yeah.
But not the cock and tail.
Oh, God.
Hey.
Okay. We were doing so fine.
Of course we were. And that's why I was, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know. I appreciate all of that. I think, I'm just really in this moment, really in my feelings. I think, but this is, to be honest, this is therapeutic for me because, who gets to tell everyone on a podcast what their problems are?
Oh, I know. This is I'm telling you, at different times, you and I have come here and we've gotten an additional hour of therapy.
Yeah. Can I also say, yes, we have. Can I also say, though, that I was working with a sponsee the other day and we were reading the third step, and he had this moment where
what's the third step for people who don't know?
Oh yeah. For the third step is we turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand God. So you're turning your will over to God,
or whatever your
conception is of God. And he asked this like very profound question about the third step prayer. And he was asking about the part of the prayer where it says, take away my difficulties that victory over them may bear witness to those that I would help of thy power and thy love and thy way of life. And he said, what's that about? And I remember, and I said to him, like my understanding of that is like, God, take this stuff away so that people know that you're real. Mm-hmm. And I remember his reaction was like very unexpected, but when he was like, oh shit, like something had clicked for him. And he was saying to me, oh my God, this is what we describe as a spiritual experience. And I remember there was just something about being in the room with him and listening to him and feeling this sense of awe where I was like, oh, this is why we work with other people. Absolutely.
How amazing is that when you witness in real time somebody getting it? It's like, huh? Click.
Yeah. And what it did is it like, well, even reading through the third step in the 12 and 12 was like, I needed that, like I needed that reminder. And then also just being in his presence while he was doing the work was just, so there is this thing that like you can't quite describe, or rather I should say, I can't quite describe, that happens, when you're not like isolating and you're connecting with other people despite like what the troubles are, whether you're dealing with like managing your medications or like the troubles of every day. Right. I think where I'm circling around all of this is how, we'll be talking a whole month dedicated to medication and recovery, but how, one of the things that I feel like I need to put a circle around is that the fact that like what's difficult about it is like wanting to check out, like you said, it's this wanting to be somewhere other than where I am. And recovery and sobriety, as like I understand it, is about being present for those situations that are uncomfortable.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, it's something that I kind of remind myself. Okay, so my relationship to drugs and alcohol, I have had a tendency, and sometimes I still do, I want to vilify them. I want to vilify drugs and alcohol. And the reality of it is, it's not the substance, it's not the drug, it's not the alcohol, it's how I was using it to not, So I have friends who still drink and still whatever. And I remind myself that, and even if I think they need to do so, like it's my responsibility for me. This is what works for me. This is what I need. And it's like, it definitely helped. It's definitely helped knowing that, Louis, it was just you. And if you just focus on you, that's a heavy enough weight itself.
I love that. And I think it's around that time.
Absolutely.
When we get to this part where we start reading stuff, it reminds you of like how when we close out meetings and like we start doing all the... That's just so...
Yeah, so the Castro Country Club is a safe and sober community center for all people and a refuge for the LGBTQ recovery community.
We provide programs and services that help people change their lives by supporting personal growth.
Yes, and our vision is to reduce the suffering of addiction by connecting people to community opportunity and support.
You can find more information, including all the ways to contact us at www.castrocountryclub.org/podcast.
Yes, and tune in every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time when we go live on our Castro Country Club Facebook and YouTube channels.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Wow. You know what? It's like after a month of what I would say like levity, airiness or whatever. Definitely speaking with all of those drag queens. To dive right back into the heavy stuff, it's like I'm all...
That's interesting that you're describing that way, because I'm like, what feels different about this? And what's different is that like it got personal again.
Oh yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah,
it was easy. It's so much easier. It's like when I'm focusing on somebody else's stuff or whatever, like I can laugh, I can add my 2 cents, because it's one thing of me talking about my experience with the meds in the past. I'm beyond that or whatever. I'm not in it. So it's like, I can appreciate like, and there's nothing worse than like, you're having these feelings and I can't see them, and so I can't completely
Sure.
appreciate what you're going through. And there are some people, if they can't see it, they don't want to accept that you have the right to feel what you're feeling.
Yeah. And oh gosh, you're speaking to my heart, because today I was thinking about that on Muni. I was just like standing there and I'm like, I feel like shit right now, and no one has any idea. And it's just one of those reminders, as cliche and as trite as it is, like you have no idea what fucking people are going through. You know what I mean? Like we have what's that quote? Like everyone is fighting a war that you can't see. It's like that shit is so true, and yeah. And so, so similar to like when I hurt my thumb and I like lose my gratitude for like having a hand that works, for example, it's like, it's the same thing right now, like with my mood and my mental health, feeling like it's all over the place. It's making me appreciate that like other people go through shit that like I can't see.
Absolutely. I was just looking down.
Absolutely.
I was looking down at my phone and my sponsee called and I'm all, oh, gee, how nice do you know how to use the phone?
How many sponsees do you have now?
I have 4.
4, yeah.
I have 4. Honestly, like you were saying, it's such a gift because they each like, they're on this path that like, I feel like, and this is me being self-centered, I feel like each individual thing they're working on is helping me to kind of grow in that thing. Sure. I don't need to tell what it is because it's not necessary. It's that's their story.
I get that.
Yeah. But so I was like, oh my God, it's like I'm gonna be working through this with you all, and then by the time I'm done with that, then I'm gonna work through my own issue with it.
Yeah, I mean, all of my sponsees, whatever stuff that comes up with them, like is usually a direct reflection of something that I have going on.
I was having a mushy moment, and I remember sitting on the steps at the country club, and I was sitting with a couple of them, and I was all warm and fuzzy, and And I'm all, I really love that I have this connection with you all and whatever. And I said, and if you tell anybody that I was doing this, I'm gonna end your recovery.
That reminds me of when there was like a moment where all of my sponsees were going to the same meeting.
Oh, nice.
And one of the things
that's rare.
It is really rare, but then like one of them fell off and then another one of them fell off. But yeah, I miss that. I miss seeing
it. It's nice, but also I like when
I'm listening.
I like when they figure out, what they need and they go and get it.
Yeah. One of my sponsees has, I'm not going to spill any tea. I almost came close to that. Well, I mean, it's the thing that everyone deals with, which is like when meeting attendance drops or communication falls or like starts to fade, etc.
Yeah. You know what I will say before we,
Sure.
A gift of sponsorship. I have in meetings a lot lately. I have a lot of former sponsees that I see and they're doing really well. And we still have these amazing relationships. Like there's this level of reverence that is not necessary, but it's like, it's reverence and caring or whatever. And all of a sudden it's like, and it warms my heart because there used to be a time where I'm all, oh, what, you couldn't do this with me? Oh, now you're going to go off and be successful. You know what? I realized we need to have another conversation about the Castro Country Club.
Oh, you mean like the history?
Like if we have a show talking about because I think that we've done it in the past, but I was realizing we're always talking about the country club, the country club, the country club. And there might be people that are listening. If you're listening and you don't know what the country club is, it's a country club.
Yeah, well, it's not a country club, and no one has to pay $35,000 to come here. It's free.
But we don't mind if you want to give us that money.
We are fully self-supporting.
Actually,
not the country.
No, we are. But it's like we'll do things to become self-supporting.
I mean, you and I are volunteers.
We are.
Yeah. But the Castro Country Club stands as like a sober environment for.
But we enjoyed. I mean, this is like a labor of love.
It is a labor of love. I really do like what we do.
Yeah. I think that we're.
I think we're landing.
Yes, it was a heavy.
Yeah,
heavy.
I need a nap.
Yeah, let's welcome.
Do you see Steven
back from? I know. Let's welcome Steven back from
back from his break.
Hawaii.
Yeah, welcome back from your break, Steven.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. Yay. Okay, we love you. Bye.